Hi everyone, I'm Kendall with the Arizona Technology Access Program. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to the HORIflex controller, as well as the Real Arcade Pro 5 Hayabusa for the Nintendo Switch. Here's the HORIflex. You have the top of the controller with several buttons, and then on the front we have several 3.5mm inputs so that you can connect external switches. Now, if you're thinking this reminds you of the Xbox Adaptive Controller, you're not alone. The concept is actually really similar. You have the central hub with several buttons already built in, and then you can connect your own joysticks, buttons, and switches to the device in order to control the same controls that a standard controller would. The inputs on the front will fit the standard 3.5mm jack found on most switches, and then the side of the controller has the USB ports for your joysticks. So you have a left stick and a right stick USB port. This device is also able to be mounted, as you can see by these threads on the bottom. Now, this is a wired controller and does not have the option of becoming wireless. The buttons on the top of the device include B, X, Y, A, L, and R. As you can see, here is the directional pad. You also have plus, minus, home, screenshot, and mode. The mode button is to allow you to switch between different profiles. Much like I spoke about in the quad stick video and the Xbox Adaptive Controller video, this controller has a separate app that you can use to customize the controller further. This is called the Flex Controller Settings app. There's a website for how to use this app to remap the buttons on your controller, and I've linked that in the description box. I recommend using it as a resource if you're trying to remap your controller. Essentially, if you're trying to switch between games, and the two different games use very different controls, instead of having to unplug and replug in all of your switches and joysticks in order to suit the new game that you're playing, you could simply click on the mode button in order to switch to the profile that has the buttons remapped for the switches to perform the functions that you would like in that specific game. When you order the Flex controller, it will come alone without any external switches, buttons, or joysticks. So you will have to go and purchase your own. The tricky thing about this controller is it can be a little bit picky with which switches and joysticks it will allow you to connect to it. For example, the HORI controllers are compatible, so the HORI Pad and the HORI Pad Mini, but the Nintendo Switches are not compatible. Additionally, you cannot just plug in any Logitech joystick, for example. One joystick that the HORI controllers are able to work with is the Optima joystick. I will link this joystick in the description box as well. As for compatible buttons and switches, AbleNet has a really large selection to choose from. When you come to ASTAP for a gaming console, we will work with you to select the buttons, switches, and joysticks that are going to be best for your gaming experience. If you want a more accessible controller that the joystick is already built into, we have the Real Arcade Pro 5 Hayabusa. This controller does not have the capability of attaching external joysticks and switches to it, but it is a more affordable option. So you will need to make sure that the games that you're playing are able to be played with the minimal controls that this controller has. For example, you could not play a game that requires two joysticks using just this Real Arcade Pro. This controller also has the Y, X, A, B, R, and L buttons, and it also has ZR and ZL. There are a few additional buttons that you can find on the right side of the controller. Being that this is a HORI controller, it is compatible with the HORIflex as well. So if you wanted to use this controller primarily, but there are a few other buttons that you need, or you need to improve the accessibility of the buttons that are on the Real Arcade Pro, you could connect it to the HORIflex and then use external switches in order to make it more accessible for you. As always, if you have any more questions, please reach out to us at ASTAP. We would love to start working on your gaming experience together.